2 days in a row, who would have thought? Hope you're all enjoying your week. A lot of rumors going around on the NBA side of things. With the NBA draft coming up this Thursday, I thought it was only appropriate to get a swap out there of the one and only Lonzo Ball. So obviously everyone knows that Lonzo Ball wants to become a Laker, Lavar Ball wants him to become a Laker, and all signs point to him ending up in LA. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think Lonzo Ball has the potential to be a great point guard for the Lakers. Just today, they traded D'Angelo Russell to the Nets for like the 27th pick and Brook Lopez, which I thought was a horrible move. I think D'Angelo Russell being only 21 would have been a great piece to build around for the future. And I know a lot of people are talking about the Lakers trying to go after LeBron James or Paul George, but I think the Lakers' core is too young, and going in this win-now mode, I don't think there's any chance they're going to be able to compete with teams like Golden State or even San Antonio, even if they do add Paul George or an old LeBron by the time he'll be out of his contract. So I don't know if that move really made sense. Let me know what you guys think of that. I think it would have been a lot easier to have Lonzo Ball passing the ball off to D'Lo at the 2, and then you've got like a young core between him, D'Lo, Brandon Ingram. I think that's a good team along with Julius Randle, and then once you get a few pieces in free agency, now you can talk and build 5-10 years down the line. But going in this win-now mode for LA seems really strange to me. But that's not particularly what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to kind of walk you guys through this jersey swap that I did. For this one, I wanted to switch it up a little bit and try something I've never done before. So this is a little bit of an experiment for myself as well. Almost every jersey swap I've done from obviously like the front action pose, whether that's dribbling forward or driving to the lane or just kind of standing there like a lot of people do for their swaps. I wanted to try something different and do the back of the uniform. I found this pic online of Lonzo, and I thought it looked pretty cool and might be appropriate for the draft coming up. To do kind of like the back of the uniform. I thought it might be something different that people hadn't seen before. So this one was definitely a little bit of a challenge, and there's a few different things I ran into that I hadn't run into before, like placing letters on the back uniform and things of that nature. So this one really was interesting for me to work through, and I hope you guys learned something from this. I'll kind of show you some of the struggles I went through. One of the most difficult things on this one was this jersey stripe going across the waistband. The Lakers waistband is just pure gold, while UCLA has this this 3-stripe going across there. So it made it difficult to make it all one tone, and I had to do a little bit of adjustment layers and clone stamping and content wearing and brushing away as best as I could. I think it came out all right though, so I kind of got this whole uniform to a single tone. That's basically the idea here for this. When you're taking something from like a white to any color, really, it's going to be difficult to preserve those tones. So what I'm doing here is going through the uniform, making sure we remove all the striping from UCLA, all those colors, desaturating it, and then making a levels adjustment to make sure that the lightest brights that we have are only like 75% white. So that gives it like kind of this light gray, this light medium gray, that then once we put the yellow on top of, we see that detail through, but the yellow still comes off of there. Instead of putting yellow on top of white, we're putting it on top of gray so we can see it a lot better. So that's what I'm doing through here, is making sure all those pieces are removed, turning it to the same gray as the rest of the uniform that I already have. If you can see here, I kind of turn that off, get it all to the same gray tone, and then add that yellow on top. So the next step here was basically to go in and start adding some of that purple trim that the Lakers uniform has. You've got the purple collars as well as some piping around the edges of the armholes. So I had to go in and kind of mask those in by hand and adjust later on. Being that I removed all the detail from this uniform other than being like a pure yellow uniform, it made it a little difficult to judge where I needed some of these lines to be. So as you can see, when I start going around the armholes, I'm really just guessing or making my best guess at where that arm stripe would be. I think it came out looking pretty good, but that really is one of the downsides of kind of wiping your uniform clean. You're really losing all of your guides of where these stripes and things like that should go. That's why I always save a copy of the original photo beneath, and as you'll see later when I start adding on numbers and letters to the back of the uniform, those really come in handy, so that way I can see exactly where the uniform number should lay on the back of this jersey, or where BALL should land exactly, so they line up perfectly with where they would in real life. So now that I got the base of their uniform laid out, I'd start to go in and add some of these details like the NBA patch right around the neck. So I just go into this same reference photo of Kobe that I've been kind of working off of and will continue to work off of throughout the rest of the video, and bring in those pieces off the back of that uniform. I know I've mentioned it in some of my previous videos, but the more you can work off a single reference image, the better, because when you are pulling over all these pieces, the NBA logo, the 16-time champions tab on the back of the uniform, you want to make sure that they're all kind of under the same lighting conditions, so that way you don't have a patch that is real bright and a patch that's real dark, or one uniform letter that's taken under warm light and another uniform letter that's taken under cool light, and they don't seem to match up. That's usually the issue when you try to pull from two separate photos and make them seem like they're coming from the same one. So the more that you can pull from a single photo, the better. This right here, I'm taking the number 2 off the back of Kobe's uniform. I notice a shadow is kind of hitting it in a place that only would exist if it were on that Kobe uniform behind a fold. Since that fold isn't there, I can kind of warp that off of there and paint over it. Here, as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, it's important to keep that original photo with you and be able to work on top of it. That way I can really line up exactly where the 2 on this uniform should be. I know where that would land. And once I turn that layer back off, you can see it lands perfectly on Lonzo's back. So with that, I wanted to go in and just adjust those yellows and purples to make sure they match the yellows and purples in my uniform instead of the one that Kobe came off of, because that one seemed to be a little more saturated and have a little more orange to it, and I wanted to make sure that it matched my uniform, because that's really an issue that I've run into before, is having yellows or colors that should be the same that are just a hue off. So I go in and make sure those are all going to be the exact same. The same thing can be done for the purple on here, and then I can use the middle of this being white. I can leave it as pure white, and that looks fine. Now for the hard part, that's going to be creating Lonzo Ball's last name and throwing it on the back of this uniform. Now, as I said earlier, I want to use the same reference photo, but obviously there's no L in Bryant. What I could do is go through and find like a D'Angelo Russell jersey and pull an L off of there, but the lighting conditions on those and quality of those photos might be completely different. So we're just going to name him Lonzo Bat. Not quite, but we're going to go in and use this T and start to build an L out of it. So I start pulling pieces together and kind of creating this weird Frankenstein L that should work on the back of this uniform. I really lucked out with such a high quality image that I was able to do something like this. I've had to do this for some of my earlier swaps. When I did a Jared Goff jersey swap, the first video I ever did, I had to create the letters from scratch, and it was awful. So this wasn't all that hard, but I never had to do it with the jersey name on the back. And once we have one, obviously we have two, and thank God his name's only 4 letters long, or who knows how long we'd be here. But this is the other thing about keeping that reference photo there. I can just start pasting and distorting these letters on top, and I know they're falling exactly where they would in real life because that's where they did on the UCLA uniform. Aside from adding our effects, that's really it for this swap. It wasn't too difficult, only being the back of the uniform. So this is the raw swap, and then once we've added a few effects to it, this is what I came up with, something quick and cool that I could post on Instagram. So as you can see, there's the original. We'll throw it back to the new edited version, and that's that for Lonzo Ball. Thanks so much for watching, guys. As always, leave your comments below of who you want to see me swap next. Maybe I'll get that request in. I know this one was requested by someone on my previous video. Make sure you watch that. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.